it's important to emphasize that some of the terms that I'm going to talk about may change as a result of passage in the House. We'll see on that one. Can we make a change in the slides? Thanks. And I also want to emphasize, a lot of you have experience with the SBA. Some of you may have SBA loans. That will probably be to your advantage in that you're going to have knowledge of how the system works. And the idea is that the new program, the PPP, the Paycheck Protection Program, will basically absorb any existing relationship that you might have. So let's talk about PPP just a little bit. Again, 500 employees is an important cutoff here. The determination of a max loan is important, and it is the lesser of $10 million or 2.5 times your average payroll costs in the period just prior to the loan date. The loan rates are to be determined, but you can expect somewhere, I have seen expectations somewhere in the 2 to 4% range. The allowable uses for proceeds include payroll support, employee salaries, mortgage payments, rent, utilities, and other pre-existing debt obligations. Importantly, loan forgiveness is possible, and I know that there were a number of questions from you all about loan forgiveness. Loan forgiveness is possible in an amount equal to the sum of payroll costs, rent, mortgage, interest, and utilities during the 8-week period following the loan origination date. There is a program that is expected to be put in place as well. It's employee retention credit, and that provides for employers who are carrying on trade and business, but who have had to have certain amount of their business suspended due to COVID-19, but they have maintained their payrolls. They will be able to offset 50% of qualified wages up to $10,000 per employee. And if you take advantage of the PPP program, you will not be eligible for the employee retention credit. Why don't I stop here, Terry? I've thrown a lot out quickly. You may have some questions you want to take.
Well, I think the big one is that if people have been going to the SBA website, I think there's been a little bit of confusion around something called the Economic Industry Disaster Loan Program, which has been in play for a while.
Yes.
That is not the new legislation. So maybe go a little deeper on that and what we know about I'll just call it the funnel of applications and what people might want to do practically about that.
All right. You're right. The economic industry disaster loans have been in place for a period of time, and that is not the PPP. I had a client just a couple of days ago who wanted to get ahead of PPP and be first in line if they could. They went ahead and applied for an economic industry disaster loan, knowing that the expectation is they're going to be able to fold that loan into a PPP when that program is up and running. as a practical matter, particularly you guys who have dealt with the SBA, this is a large bureaucracy. This is an enormous plan which is being put in place. The idea is to utilize the SBA system and utilize SBA lenders, but I think we can expect that there are going to be some delays as this gets put in place. It will definitely, you know, I had mentioned initially that there could be advantages if you have an existing relationship. I think your ability to contact lenders that you know quickly will be very helpful to you. But my guess is this probably is going to take some weeks to fully unfold.
Yeah, and I'll add a perspective there. And speaking with some lenders, you know, the chronology will be as follows. The legislation will pass, and once it has, the SBA needs to write their regs. And then once that is done, they will be able to take applications, which will then themselves go into really a singular funnel. They will come from the lenders and go through the SBA funnel. And as a perspective, the total sort of annual normal volume of the SBA is roughly 30 billion. And of course, this piece of legislation calls out 350 billion, which will have to run through the process in a matter of months. So it will be a matter of timing for sure. Edward, sort of to your question about the private equity situation, there's a question about someone that has a healthy balance sheet today, and when does it make sense? How do they qualify? I've not read anything specific to beyond the employee threshold who qualifies with respect to current cash position or balance sheet. Is that your understanding as well?
The ability to identify your losses and your exposure and communicate that effectively is going to be very important here. Anticipatory situations will probably necessarily get moved to the back. So if you have begun the process of cash flow management and you have identified what your issues are, then you'll be able to present those. And we're going to talk a little bit later about that process and ways to do that. But at the moment, I don't think, if I understand the question, Terry, I don't think we're going to be able to anticipate problems and apply for PPP ahead of time. I noticed a question came through asking for just a quick clarification on loan forgiveness, which I can do. It is expected that loan forgiveness under PPP will be possible for an amount equal to the sum of payroll costs, rent, mortgage interest, utility payments for the 8-week period following the loan origination date. Now, that could change with the final passage of the bill, but that's what the initial wording is.
Yeah, I think it goes without saying that any amount of, to your point, Edward, data collection and information gathering, whether you put that in Excel or you have a platform that allows you to put that in a separate class or layer, is critical. All of that will facilitate communication for both tax incentives and for the SBA process.